That was funny, huh? I said, let me hold on. I mean, you guys hold on. But as far as math and stuff, math is just subtracting and adding, and you're always using the same digits from 0 to 9, and study that stuff. I think the only thing that's probably giving a lot of people problems could be, your organization. Just use one sheet of paper for one problem, stuff like that. And it's a lot of things that we can do to help each other. There's just too few of us in America. There's enough of us. There's too few of us in America, and there's enough of us in America that's doing well. That we can help everyone else. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is there's too few of us in America for all of us not to. There's too few of us in America for all of us not to be doing well. And basically, I'm just saying, it's a lot of wealth in the black neighborhoods, and we should, help each other. And I'm not talking about just giving money, invest in, the brothers and stuff, and the trades and stuff like that. And I'm sure, you got the gangbangers, and all the gangbangers, they're not bad, the drug dealers and stuff, they're just doing business and stuff. And, evidently there's a demand for it, So I'm just saying, I'm not saying stop all that stuff, but you can make little small changes and things like that. And it's just a lot of things that we can do. If you don't know, just send a video reply or something. I got all kinds of things running through my head. But one thing I do know is a lot of brothers, you guys should really travel. If you ain't got no jobs, or if you're out there like just selling crack so you can get a car or something, sell this stuff, save up $2,000-$3,000, go get you a passport, and travel, before you get tossed in jail to get killed. Because you start traveling around the world, man, outside of the United States, it's very, very, very different. I don't know how it is in Europe, but I know all these white people don't hate us and stuff. Maybe a lot of them don't want to talk to us, whatever, that's fine. But you go to different countries and stuff, and you'll see a different attitude. You go to the South, you go to the Asian countries and stuff, and maybe a lot of people think that we're not cool and stuff. But the whole thing is, this is what I see by traveling for black men, is that when there's just one of us, people like us, and then when they start thinking of us as a whole, that's when they start getting scared. But when we meet people, we don't meet them as a whole. We meet them as, how can you say that, as one. Anyway, I live in a nice neighborhood out here in Japan, and I ain't saying it's all because of me, but still, the people there, nobody don't bother me, I don't bother them. I see them, I say hi, going about my business, People's attitudes around the world, they're not changing that much, but what's different, especially in Japan, is there's peace. The police don't bother you. They don't bother me because I'm black, or because I'm driving around in a Lexus. I don't get stopped. There's no routine stops in Japan. Probably not all these other countries. Just in America. So they got a plot. They got a plan when they want to get rid of us and stuff like that. But we can change all that stuff. It got to be a way. And if there is, and basically, if there's no way to change all that stuff, then we just might as well pack up and move. Go back to Africa, or go to some other countries and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Or we just stay here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just so much. But as far as fighting with the sisters and stuff, that stuff is crazy. A lot of the sisters, they doing good. They got their jobs and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And you can just talk to them. This one sister, her name is Kathy Gray, and I'm just saying her name. I'm sure she probably won't even see this video, and I won't see, And she was going to college, and she had some extra money in her grants, and she asked me, did I want to go to college? But I thought she was going to get in trouble because I was ignorant when I was young, and I didn't know nothing about anything. And she said no, but then I regretted it. I should have took it and went on and said yeah, because college, when I did go, it was fun. I only went to a community college. I didn't go to university and stuff, and I didn't have to deal with a lot of the problems in those professors. But the professors that I did have to deal with, there was two. But, I handled them real quick, I knew I set them up in the beginning of the class, so when they did mess with me, I could come back and put them into some embarrassing situations, and it happened with one of them, and after that, he left me in the wrong. He wasn't even white. I don't know what he was, probably Arab or something like that, so he was trying to kiss up to the other white kids in class, at my expense, but, I put him in his spot. But, the whole thing is, just stop talking about the sisters, because basically what it is regardless of the fact, what I told them, Samoan dudes is our same problem. We just don't have no history. Who are we? We ain't got no culture. You know what I'm saying? These white guys, their culture, they we always talk about, well, we're African American, we're African Americans, we're America, and you're trying to build your roots here. But these white people, they jumping back to Europe real quick. You know what I'm saying? It ain't all about just America. It's France and Spain and all those countries, especially England and stuff. They jumping back. We're the only ones that's here, that's cutting the branch from the rest of the tree. If we're a branch and we cut ourselves from the rest of the tree, we're gonna die. And then even the fact that we're trying to, that's what the white people pretty much successfully cut us off. Our leaders, I don't know what's wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? And they acting like they what do they do? I mean, you're in government, you black, and you got a government job, but what's your role? What you got a puppet role and stuff, I really don't know. But the whole thing about calling, getting upset at these women and stuff, just chill out, build up yourself. Because I'll tell you, if the black race is not is any danger if the black man is doing well. If the black women go at these white guys, then let them go, because, if they having kids with these white guys and stuff, the white race, they'll disappear, and we can have our kids, whatever, like they come out black, and if they come out talking about they blazing and they ain't black, whatever, you're the father, and your kids start talking like that, kick that motherfucker in his head and let him know, hey, you black, period, and all this stuff, because if I grow up and my kid talking about I think one of my kids in America talking about they half white or something, and I don't hit my kids, I almost like to slap my daughter for saying some crazy shit like that, say you're not white, you black, period, but the whole thing is just don't focus on them right now. They're not our problems, we're our problems, and as far as you guys having sex, I think a lot of black men, if you just stop thinking about sex and don't even participate in it until you graduate from college or turn 22, then a lot of your problems as far as chasing black women, for what? For what? Just for sex? You know what I'm saying? At a young age, it's not good, because it's just so much maturing that we haven't done, that a lot of black women go through at a younger age. These women mature faster than us because of their moms putting game in their head. These older guys are chasing them and all kinds of stuff, but we're the ones that's growing up slow, as far as the maturity and stuff. And your father can teach you as much as you want, whatever, but when it comes to relationships and stuff, there's not too many black men out there. There ain't even too many white men out there. There ain't too many men out there that can say they have a successful relationship behind closed doors with their spouses, because probably it's not true, But